Hi everyone, it's Clyde at Vibrant Soap, and this is my third attempt at doing the Intaglio soap, which is carving into the soap and adding a layer of color so that I can carve into a different color. So I'm getting that down better every time, and I'm getting a little bit better at the carving, but I want to raise the bar a little bit and add some color in a different way. So we'll see if that works out. I've never done this kind of thing before, so I'll show you what I'm about to do. Okay, I've already mixed up my batter, and I'm going to just a little bit for the bottom, and just kind of eyeballing that, and a little bit of this pink and red mix, and I'm counting on the timing of this so that the green pours pretty liquidy, but I want the red to set up a bit so I can spoon it onto the green. So that is two different kinds of green and a little bit of black oxide to get a darker green. That's pretty much what I wanted, so that's good. Stir first, get some bubbles out, make sure it will pour nicely. And I'm going to keep an eye on this as I pour it, because I don't want it to be too thick of a layer, but I do want it to coat the whole bottom. Let's see if I can get that to coat the bottom. Okay, that looks good. I'm going to put that aside. I'm going to blend this one until it's a little more thick. That's pretty bright, and I blended that for a while so that it would thicken a bit more. It's still not thick enough. I'm testing it to see if it'll hold a shape on top. It's just like you're checking for trace, but I want it to be a thicker trace. So let's just set that back. I'll do a little bit of cleanup and bring you right back. I have another batch of soap to make, so I'm going to get ready for that while this thickens a little more. Okay, while I wait for that pink batter to set up, I'm just going to put the dividers in just for a split moment into the green, and very lightly, to do just exactly what you see there, to put a mark on all the soap so that I know where to place that red. Okay, so let's check on this. It looks like it's mounting pretty nicely, so I'm going to try my next round of experiments on design with this soap. And I'm going to just place a little bit of red, pink, on one side of where each bar is going to be. And it doesn't have to be exactly the same on each bar because I am experimenting with the design. So some I'm putting the dollops of red on the side, and some I'm going to put in the middle of the bar because I plan on carving these a little differently, and I of course chose colors that would contrast nicely with the green, and this is the perfect consistency for what I'm doing here. And since I was playing with amounts, I have quite a bit of soap, so I'm going to fill my star silicone mold with the leftover. I can show you what I'm up to. Yeah, I'm just going to fill probably 1.5 of these up so I don't waste any soap. Sort of like how you make macaron to pound down those little round bits of batter. I like that contrast right there. And this is going to basically be 3 colors, so you'll see me in the next bit coming up deal with the next color. So I'll bring you back for that. And the rest is going to be a yellow with some gold and a little bit of titanium dioxide. My fragrance is already in there. It's lemon verbena. Okay, I'm going to bring that back. And just to play it safe, I'm going to spray that layer with a little bit of alcohol and just pour this in. So there we go. So I've got to make sure that I push this firmly enough that it goes into that first layer, which has had time to harden a bit more. I can feel it resisting down there. I think that does it. I can hardly wait to see if this different way works. Spray that with a little alcohol, basically to prevent any ash. Alright, let's see how that unmolds. Okay, let's unmold this Intaglio 3, scented with lemon verbena. Smells so good. So this one looks like it's a little sticky up on the bottom, and that I am going to have an issue with because it looks like it's pulling up some of that layer that I put in first. Some viewers thought that it might be a good idea for me to make the thin layer of different color on the bottom instead, and that's exactly what I did. And some of it is pulling off, I can tell already. So let's see what happens. Gotta experiment so that you can learn. So I'm going to have to find a way to salvage these. But, you know, when you experiment, you tell yourself that these kinds of things can happen. And then you improvise. Still awesome soap. And I'm not going to give up on this one. I've also learned that you can't judge success until you actually finish the soap. So once I carve these, what I'll probably do is I will probably work this accident into the design and make the most of it. And then the other thing I learned is maybe I should put a little more sodium lactate in the thin portion, or I can discount the water, or I can let it sit longer. These bars are extra thick because the thin layer is a separate recipe. I didn't want to lighten the weight of each soap by the carving into it, so I did add some extra soap. And the center bars are okay. So there's the unmolding, and I'm going to let these cure for a couple days, and then I'll show you what I do with the carving. So I suggest if you're going to try any of these Intaglio soaps that you find the most beat up soap that you made in that bunch and start carving on that one, because that will be your practice at the same time. And let's see, what do I want to do here? I have to work with these areas that the green came off on. I want to integrate that into the design. So I think I'm going to work first with the big tools and just take something out that I want more of a beveled edge on that green. Working a little slowly. This soap cured for 2 days, so I'll take that out. Just kind of making it look more planned. You're really working with the design. I do that with there's some of that red soap I poured underneath it. I do this with painting also. I look for little obscure patterns in the canvas that I can work with to get an idea for the design. So I think I'll work with the next big tool. There's some more of the red that came out. And this is, you know, creation is really up to you. No one should really tell you what to do, but I think, for me, I like taking chances, I like trying new things, but I also like success, because success sort of feeds the ego a little bit and makes you feel good about what you're doing, to try to continue with the process. And already the imperfections in the soap are less obvious because you're giving your soap a little bit more of a design. I think I can go with this. See if I can get more red to show up. And I'm liking that. Let's get some of... This is just going to be texture in the yellow soap because there's no color beneath that. Still getting a sense of direction here. I think I'll get this to curve. I could probably stop right now and let this soap cure a little bit more because it is still a little soft. I think maybe I'll finish this one, let it rest, and then work with the rest of them. What is the abstract design here? Okay, so I think that has some movement to it. And I'm still going to take my toothbrush to it later on to clean up some of the little jagged soap pieces. One more of the ones that I have to work with this design. This one's going to be my bar to use because that corner didn't come out. It's the only one that didn't come out like that. And let's see. Definitely feel more comfortable than my first two attempts at this. I'm getting a feel of what it's like to carve into soap and getting used to my tools a bit more. This yellow part needs a little more texture, I think. Those two pieces look like they belong together. Like that. You know, this is actually doable. It's, now this one's a little different. I planed this one so you can see part of the red underneath that, seeing if I can work that into the design. So it's sort of an ombre effect naturally because it's a thicker layer of green right here. So I think I'm going to use only my thin tool here, follow that curve, remember in my earlier Intaglio soaps I was a little bit more clumsy with the curves. Now I think I got the hang of it. I think the trick there is to move the soap and not the tool quite as much. Okay, now I'm getting a sense of more of a planned design here. The other thing that you're going to need to get a sense of is the angle that you hold your tool. If you hold it more horizontal, you'll be able to skim a thin layer off the top. if you do it more at this angle, you're going to dig deep a little too fast, because I almost did that on this one. In design class, one of the things you usually learn is something called rhythm. And rhythm is sensing a pattern that repeats so that the eye flows across the design. And it's less chaotic that way. And I like how that turned out. So you can see how that ombre effect with that green getting more and more yellow subtly kind of works there. Now this one, everyone's a separate little like canvas. Put some soap in there that I don't want there. So using this curved one this time, so I can put a little curve right there. And I think what I'm going to do on this one is to take out more masses of soap and then add some thinner carved lines. It's all getting used to the new media. Some of you made comments on the previous soap that you had tried scratchboard at one time, which is a prepared surface of a kind of paper that you scratch away at. Usually it's in just black and white. It looks black and then you scratch down, you get to a white layer and it gives you an etched quality. Okay, so you see what I'm doing? I'm just taking a mass of soap out of there. And then go in with my more detailed carving tool and looking for that rhythm again. So I'm going to follow this curve. I wasn't going to be brave enough to try 3 colors in my first attempt. So this is my 3rd attempt, and now I'm adding that additional color. And this yellow area needs a little bit more texture. There. Maybe this way. I think I used up almost all the ones that had little, you know, imperfections in it, but the idea is to work with imperfections so that it actually works as a design. And actually, in a way, that's easier. If you look at one of the soaps that has very little going on, this has a little bit of the red there. It's going to be harder to kind of see a design in the soap, and I'm just going to have to be completely inventive there. This one, there's a slight ombre effect going there. So I think I'm going to do some alternating tools here. Here's the bigger gouge. And I'll leave some space for the little tool to come in. Didn't leave much room. So that is basically a one direction carving. Kind of like it like this. It's almost like a red sun setting behind some vegetation. What am I going to do with this one? It's another variation of that sun shining through the vegetation type of soap there. I'm trying to make more time for my painting too, because this also reminds me of the Rousseau-like paintings that I like to do, jungle paintings. I don't do them too often because they're very time consuming. The kind of painting that I do leaf by leaf. Okay, so all I have to do now is clean them up a bit, and then I'll take my final photos. Thanks for sticking through this long process. Well, thanks again for watching. I'm getting ready to do a presentation at the conference in Las Vegas. It's the Handcrafted Soap and Cosmetic Guild conference. And I'm excited about that and the chance to meet some of you who are watching this. I decided to call this bar that you watched me make Rousseau, because I also paint, and one of my favorite styles of painting are the jungle paintings that are very similar to Henri Rousseau's paintings. So this is one of them behind me. And some of the soap just reminded me that, you know, of the Rousseau style, which is jungles in front of suns and things. There's no sun in this particular painting that I did, but I think it's appropriate to name him after one of my favorite artists. And then this one came out without even thinking about it, looking like a tiki. So interesting when you play around with abstracts, what kind of pops up out of that experience. So anyway, I'm going to show you the cleanup soaps now, and thanks again for watching and subscribing, and we'll see you for the next video.